Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Russian missiles pound power plants in central and western Ukraine, hit 4 thermal power facilities. Ukraine's president says gas transit to EU targeted. Gaza aid from Cyprus resumes after a pause following the killings of aid workers. A ship carrying 400 tons of food leaves for Gaza. World struggles to cope with climate change-induced extreme weather patterns. A heat wave sweeps India and Bangladesh, while floods ravage Kenya and Tanzania. Political battleground in India hots up, with leaders of various parties crisscrossing the country to sway voters. And India beats reigning Olympic champion South Korea to win a 5th gold at the Archery World Cup, adds a silver and a bronze to its kitty. All right, first up, Russia launched a barrage of missiles against Ukraine overnight, targeting the country's energy infrastructure. The airstrikes, carried out with long-range missiles, including cruise missiles, was the 4th large-scale aerial assault targeting the power system since 22nd of March. Ukraine's Air Force said that Russia had launched 34 missiles against Ukraine overnight, of which 21 had been shot down by Ukrainian air defenses. Ukraine's state-run oil and gas firm Naftogaz said Russia had attacked its facilities, but that no one was hurt and supplies to Ukraine's consumers and clients alike were not affected. Ukraine has lost 80% of its thermal power generation and 35% of its hydroelectric capacity during these Russian attacks. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has denounced the Russian attack on his country's energy infrastructure. In his nightly video address, Zelensky emphasized that the assault specifically targeted gas facilities crucial for supplying the European Union. He highlighted the significance of these gas facilities for maintaining the uninterrupted supply of gas to the European Union.
We saw another massive missile strike today, 34 Russian rockets of various types. The main target was the energy sector, various facilities in the industry, both electricity and gas transit facilities in particular, those gas facilities that are crucial to ensuring safe delivery to the European Union. We managed to shoot down some of the missiles today, and I'm grateful to each of our soldiers who were really accurate and responded in time.
Zelensky reiterated his plea for defensive weapons systems, particularly the Patriot missile systems, to bolster Ukraine's defense capabilities.
It's important that all the new agreements with partners that are already in place to strengthen our air defense, every initiative by friends of Ukraine to help, in particular with the search and provision of Patriots, to make sure it all takes effect as soon as possible. Ukraine needs 7 systems, and this is the minimum.
In some more news from the region, a ceremony was held in northern Ukraine on Friday to remember those who died in the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear accident. The Chernobyl explosion is considered the worst nuclear accident in history in terms of the scale of contamination and number of victims. The detonation in the reactor zones caused radioactive contamination that directly contaminated a radius of tens of kilometers, and wind and water movement carried nuclear contamination further afield. On the occasion, the chairperson of the Environmental Policy Committee of Ukraine's Supreme Council praised those who put out the fire at the Chernobyl plant, saying that the move saved the world from a radiation disaster. All right, shifting focus to West Asia now. 8 shipments to Gaza from Cyprus resumed late on Friday. The ship was carrying food after a pause following the killings of 7 aid workers by Israel. The World Central Kitchen Organization had paused aid to review its activity in the territory after the early April attack, halting direct shipments into Gaza from Cyprus. The U.S. has started the construction of a floating jetty on Gaza's Mediterranean coast that will enable aid deliveries pre-screened in Cyprus with Israeli oversight. Once that aid reaches Gaza, it will still need to pass through Israeli checkpoints on land. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will next be visiting Saudi Arabia on Monday and Tuesday. Blinken will be meeting with regional partners and discuss efforts to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of Israeli hostages. Blinken will make efforts to get humanitarian assistance delivered to Gaza. He will also emphasize the importance of preventing the conflict from spreading and discuss ongoing efforts to achieve lasting peace and security in the region. Now, Blinken is not scheduled to visit Israel on this trip. During his 2-day visit, Blinken will participate in a ministerial meeting of the Gulf Cooperation Council. He will also attend the World Economic Forum's special meeting on global collaboration, growth and energy for development. Right, moving on, the UN Security Council on Saturday expressed deep concern over the crisis in Sudan. The Council said expressed its concern over an imminent offensive by the Rapid Support Forces and their allied militias against the city of Al-Fashir. The UNSC called on the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces to end the buildup of military forces and to take steps to de-escalate the situation. War erupted in Sudan 1 year ago between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary RSF, creating the world's largest displacement crisis. Al-Fashir is the last major city in the vast western Darfur region not under control of the RSF. The RSF and its allies swept through 4 other Darfur state capitals last year and were blamed for a campaign of ethnically driven killings against non-Arab groups and other abuses in western Darfur. In other news, Haiti's Transition Council will vote for the country's next president on Tuesday as part of efforts to bring the Caribbean country under control amid rampant gang violence. The Transition Council took part in a ceremony on Thursday, formalizing the resignation of former Prime Minister Ariel Henry. The transitional government's mandate runs until February 2026, by when there are slated to be elections, and cannot be renewed. The Council's installation is seen as a key step towards the deployment of a multinational security mission Henry requested in 2022 and the United Nations approved more than 6 months ago. Let me now get you weather updates from around the world. The Bangladesh Meteorological Department said that respite from the prevailing heat wave condition is not likely. In fact, it has turned very severe in some parts of the country. The department predicted that the ongoing severe to very severe and mild to moderate heat wave sweeping over various parts of the country is likely to continue. So far, at least 12 people have died of suspected heat stroke in the last few days. Guidelines were also issued on Friday with respect to extreme heat conditions. Meanwhile, the Bangladesh government has announced the reopening of primary schools starting this Sunday. Bangladesh's highest temperature was recorded at 42.7 degrees Celsius in Chuadanga in western Bangladesh, near the border with India on Friday. Millions in the United States are under a storm watch as the states of Nebraska and Iowa reel from devastating tornadoes. A large tornado tore through parts of the country. Authorities have put a tornado alert for the coming days. Local officials confirmed that 4 were injured amid the havoc and immediately admitted to hospital. Meanwhile, heavy rains across Kenya have killed at least 76 people and displaced thousands. Residents of the region were still coming to terms after a truck loaded of people was swept away by raging floodwaters of Kwa Musti River. So far, 11 survivors were pulled out from the river, while 7 bodies have been recovered downstream. Search for more bodies continues. Calling the situation grim, the country's weather authorities warned of more heavy rains for the coming week and issued flood alerts as well. And in China, at least 5 people were killed and 33 injured in a strong tornado that hit Guangzhou, the capital of southern China's Guangdong province, on Saturday. More than 140 factory buildings were damaged. Guangzhou, a city of 19 million people in southern China, has been witnessing tornadoes at level 3 intensity. The tornado was followed by multiple days of heavy rains lashing southern China, deadly floods and threatening to upend the lives of millions as rescuers rush to evacuate residents trapped by the rising waters. Now, water pollution is becoming an increasingly widespread problem in England. New data shows sewage spills into rivers and seas more than doubled last year. Campaigners say that water companies are failing to invest in infrastructure to prevent this, but the industry says the soaring costs of upgrades cannot be shouldered by businesses alone. Julia Chapman visited one river in London where sewage is of a particular concern.
Britain's tranquil waterways belie a dirty secret. With increasing regularity, mostly in bad weather, sewage is spilled into rivers and seas.
So this is working as it was designed. It's not a malfunction. It's meant to overflow when it can't cope with the amount of rain. It's just that we've sort of sealed so much London with concrete and building on it, and we've not made enough areas to offset that and allow the rain to soak in. So it's negligence, I suppose. The government, the regulators should have had the eye on this, should have known that it's becoming more of a problem and started those efforts to address that much sooner.
Most of Britain's sewage system was built during the Victorian era. It can be overwhelmed by large volumes of rainwater. Water companies are allowed to discharge sewage into waterways during periods of heavy rainfall. But 2023 saw a record number of sewage overflows. This river alone was on the receiving end of 87 sewage spills last year. Those incidents only started to be monitored in 2019. The government says the way storm overflows are managed is unacceptable. It has set targets that require sewage discharges to be reduced, with fines for water companies that don't comply.
All I can say is that our ambitious storm overflow reduction plan is backed by £60 billion of capital investment. We now monitor every single storm overflow across England and have legislated to introduce unlimited penalties on water companies that breach their obligations. The independent regulator and the Environment Agency have the powers they need to hold water companies wherever they are to account.
A so-called super sewer was completed this year in London to help deal with capacity. But critics say it's an expensive, imperfect solution and will only buy time rather than solve the problem. They argue the best approach is to create more green spaces to absorb rainwater before it mixes with sewage.
We could have flourishing kind of oases of nature. Instead, we've got rivers that are just an extension of the sewage system.
The UK's water industry body has announced a major investment programme to upgrade the sewage system. But it will come at a high cost, one that will likely be borne by consumers. Julia Chapman in London, reporting for DD India.
A visual treat for all you bird lovers out there. Winged visitors flock to a village in southern India. A special report from the banks of the Brahmaputra River in India's northeast, which goes to the polls on 7th May. And in the Indian Premier League, Gujarat Titans to go head-to-head against Royal Challengers Bengaluru shortly.
voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. In its latest weather update, the India Meteorological Department has reiterated its warnings about the heat wave which will be holding several states in its grip. The IMD has issued a red alert for Odisha and West Bengal, an orange alert for Bihar and Jharkhand, and a yellow alert for eastern Uttar Pradesh and northern parts of Kerala. The heat wave conditions are likely to get more severe with the possibility of further rise in maximum day temperatures in Bengal and Odisha because of the prevailing hot and humid conditions. Residents of Delhi NCR got a little respite from the scorching heat after Friday's spell of rainfall brought down the maximum temperature, but the IMD has further predicted that the maximum temperature will cross 40 degrees again by Monday. Additionally, intermittent rain accompanied by thunderstorms and hail lashed several parts of Himachal Pradesh, while the tribal areas received fresh snowfall on Saturday, causing a sharp dip in the mercury. Right, let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. The third phase of the India's elections on 7th May will witness 95 constituencies going to the polls. This figure includes the Bethul constituency in Madhya Pradesh, where the voting process initially planned for 26th April was adjourned because of the death of the BSP candidate. The third phase of election will witness 12 states and union territories participating in the democratic process. A total of 1,351 candidates will be in the fray. This figure excludes the sole BJP candidate in Surat, who has already been elected unopposed. Campaigning for Phase 3 of the elections is gaining momentum as the poll fever goes high in India. Political parties gearing up to woo voters. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public rally in Belagavi in the southern state of Karnataka on Sunday.
आपने कांग्रेस के शहजादे का एक ताजा बयान जरूर सुना होगा। ये शहजादे का कहना है कि भारत के राजा, भारत के महाराजा ये अत्याचारी थे, ये गरीबों की जमीन छीन लेते थे, जब मर्जी पड़े तब उनका सब हड़प कर लेते थे। कांग्रेस के शहजादे ने छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज, कित्तूर की रानी चिन्नम्मा जैसे महान व्यक्तित्व का अपमान किया है।
The Prime Minister also addressed another public meeting at Sirsi in Karnataka. Later in the day, the Prime Minister will address rallies in Uttara Kannada district and Davangere city as well as Bellary. Non-resident Indians from countries abroad are organizing a car rally from Ahmedabad to Surat in support of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The rally has been organized by the Foreign Affairs Department of the BJP. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh addressed a press conference in the western state of Gujarat on Sunday.
गरीबी समाप्त करने की बात चाहे पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी रहे हों, चाहे श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी रहे हों, चाहे राजीव गांधी जी रहे हों, चाहे मनमोहन सिंह जी रहे हों, सबने कही लेकिन गरीबी को इस भारत से वह दूर नहीं कर पाए 50 वर्ष से अधिक समय तक शासन करने के बावजूद। लेकिन सारा विश्व सच्चाई को जानता है कि पिछले 8-9 वर्षों में ही 25 करोड़ लोगों को गरीबी रेखा से बाहर करने में स्वतंत्र भारत के इतिहास में पहली बार किसी सरकार ने कामयाबी हासिल की है। तो हमारी सरकार ने कामयाबी हासिल की है।
Later in the day, Minister Singh will address public meetings in central Gujarat, Khambat and Bhavnagar. Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath addressed a public meeting in Bareilly on Sunday. India's Home Minister Amit Shah addressed a public meeting at Kasganj in Uttar Pradesh. BJP President JP Nadda addressed a public meeting at Burdwan in West Bengal. He will address a public meeting at Berhampur of Ganjam district and later hold a meeting with party workers at Nabarangpur. Leaders of opposition parties are holding rallies to garner support in favor of their candidates. India's opposition leader Rahul Gandhi visited Odisha to campaign for party's candidates and addressed a rally there. The Chief Minister of Haryana, Nayab Singh Saini, is likely to address a public meeting in Panchkula of Ambala Lok Sabha constituency on Sunday. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Singh Mann will address a public meeting in Punjab's Barnala on Sunday. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister and YSRCP President Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy will start his election campaign on Sunday. In some more news, BJP leader Smriti Irani will file her nomination as the party's candidate from Amethi on Monday. Before filing a nomination, Smriti Irani reached Ayodhya on Sunday to seek the blessings of Lord Ram. Meanwhile, the Congress party is yet to announce its candidate from Amethi. There is a strong speculation that Rahul Gandhi might again contest from Amethi. In another jolt to the Congress party, former Delhi Minister Arvind Singh Lovely resigned as the Delhi Congress chief, citing interference by the party's General Secretary in charge and alliance with the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi as major friction points. In his resignation letter to Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge, Lovely said that he feels handicapped and not able to continue as a president of the Delhi Congress unit. This was the second resignation by a former minister to hit the Congress in the capital in less than 1 week. Rajkumar Chauhan resigned on Wednesday, and according to party insiders, resignation would pave the way for more. There's a quaint little village situated on the banks of the Brahmaputra River, about 35 kilometers from Guwahati, where it is not unusual to wake up to the sound of a rhythmic clack-clack of a flying shuttle on a frame loom. The village of Sualkuchi in the textile center of Assam, it gives you gorgeous Assam silk products. Locals there are preparing for the third phase of election on the 7th of May, eager to make their voices count. Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
Sualkuchi, known as the textile hub of Assam, is renowned for its exquisite skill products and fondly called the Manchester of the East. Positioned along the northern shores of the Brahmaputra River, it boasts of rich legacy of weaving that spans centuries.
Welcome to Sualkuchi, nestled along the banks of the majestic Brahmaputra River. It is the textile hub of Assam, renowned for producing exquisite Assam silk products that captivate the world with their beauty. Traditionally, weavers in this region crafted clothing for personal use or local markets on a small scale. However, in recent years, the landscape has evolved. Commercialization has taken hold. Rising cost of silk thread have forced many traditional weavers to join cluster factories as wage earners. Sualkuchi residents are gearing up to vote on May 7th, eager to ensure their voices are heard.
During this election, our focus should be that our sericulture should be preserved, because our sericulture is the pride of the Northeast and pride of Assam. Assam silk is the pride of and identity of Assam. That's why our weavers are owners and owners are weavers basically. So if there is certain possibilities, if there are certain propaganda during certain agenda during this Lok Sabha election, our weavers will be benefited and weavers will focus during this towards their commitment of this culture of the India.
Amidst these challenges, hope shines bright. The state government's announcement of an official trademark for Sualkuchi silk products marks a significant step in combating counterfeit goods, ensuring the integrity of this age-old craft. Additionally, the introduction of a silk yarn bank promises to alleviate the burden of fluctuating thread costs, providing weavers with access to a variety of materials to fuel their creativity. This village continues to weave dreams on its looms, preserving a legacy that transcends time.
In Sualkuchi, the art of weaving transcends the barriers of community, religion and gender. Here in many households, both men and women engage in various aspects of the weaving process, from setting up the loom to spinning yarn and weaving fabric. As they participate in the Lok Sabha election, these weavers see it as a way to assert their presence and protect their cherished culture and heritage. With camera person Naveen, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Guwahati, Assam.
And now to a visual treat for all you bird lovers out there, as migratory birds flock to Tiriyur village near Kundankulam Bird Sanctuary in Tamil Nadu's Tirunelveli. It's the largest reserve for breeding water birds in southern India. More than 43 species of resident and migratory water birds visit here every year. To some sports news now. A double delight for India at the Archery World Cup as it won gold medals in the recurve men's team event, also bagging a bronze medal in the recurve mixed team event. The men's recurve team of Tarun, Dheeraj and Praveen did it in style, beating powerhouse South Korea 5-1 in the final. The Indian pair of Dheeraj Bommadevara and Ankita Bhakat won bronze medal in the recurve mixed team event. Deepika Kumari bagged the silver on a return to Archery World Cup after losing the final to South Korea's Lim Si-hyun. India ended the Archery World Cup Stage 1 in Shanghai with a total of 8 medals, creating history for the highest number of gold medals and the highest medal tally at a single World Cup stage. To the Indian Premier League now, Gujarat Titans will go head-to-head against Royal Challengers Bengaluru in the 45th match of the season in Ahmedabad shortly. Bengaluru are coming into the clash after ending what seemed an unending series of defeats at Hyderabad a couple of days ago. Gujarat, on the other hand, is still in the race for a place in the playoffs despite losing the last match to Delhi Capitals. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it now. And do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. All of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.